Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, let's see if technology wants to cooperate and share the screen. Here we go. April 13th in Asia. We had a lovely Chitra Guru Puja today at noon in the temple, so we still have Gurudeva's vibration from that lingering with us. Let's see what we have here. Okay, we are continuing. Hinduism, a multifaceted religion. And repeat the question we did last time. In each satsang, I hold one basic question that invariably arises. How can I make Hinduism practical in daily life? The answer to this question comprises this part of our presentation. It also ties in with our title that Hinduism is a multifaceted religion. So, what are the facets? Dharma, worship, selfless service, philosophical study, and meditation. Together, these five make for a complete physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual regimen to follow throughout life. So it creates a balanced spiritual life, so to speak, if you are pursuing all five of these areas. And for Hindu youth, we're hoping they relate to at least one, because at least in the West, many youths are offered to the Hindu temple once they reach age 16 or so. So they need to know that besides worship, Hinduism has dharma, selfless service, philosophical study, and meditation. Hinduism's facet of worship is generally fulfilled by attending the temple, many Hindus strive to attend the temple once a week. Children often accompany their parents up until their teens when they begin to ask, why must we go to the temple every week? It's a hard question to answer for parents. Here's an answer. You can explain to Hindu children that worshiping the temple is one of the traditional ways Hinduism gives us for connecting with our soul nature and experiencing ananda, the natural bliss of the soul. As devotees can visit the temple in a state of discontent, receive the blessings of God and the gods, and go away uplifted and happy. How is this possible? So this is a pubdesh, so Venkateshvara snuck in. The deity's blessings have cleared their mind and aura of congested thought forms and emotions, allowing them to connect with their inner self. So read that one again. The deity's blessings have cleared their mind and aura of congested thought forms and emotions, allowing them to reconnect with their inner self. The blessings lift them out of their instinctive nature and soften their intellectual nature, bringing them into their spiritual nature. So, said another way, Chitta Shuddhi, purifying the mind. So we bathe on a regular basis. We wouldn't think of not doing that. We wash our clothes on a regular basis, but how often do we wash our mind? Do we purify our mind? So if we go to the temple once a week, we're at least taking a weekly mental bath. Once children as well as adults catch the idea that temple worship is a great tool for stabilizing their emotions when they get upset, their reluctance to join the family will change. The temple will become important to them, not just to mom and dad. Temple worship will help them remain calm and centered even in difficult circumstances. They will find that going in the right spirit is a way of pulling themselves back together. It is also a place for assuaging long-held hurts. Teach children to go to the temple and place their problems at the feet of the deity, to bring offerings and talk to the deity about their unhappiness, just as if they were talking to a friend in this physical world. There with the deity, they will go through a deep inner process and receive blessings from the deity if they open themselves in the right way. They may find that when they leave the temple, they can't even remember what the problem was. That's a sure sign of success. Of course, the benefits of attending a temple every week are not limited to times that they are emotionally upset. Even when everything is going well in their life, worshiping at the temple with sincerity and attentiveness takes them deeper into their soul nature. They will be more compassionate and understanding, better able to deal with the challenges that come to them in life. Once your child realizes that worship is a powerful Hindu tool and not just another adult rule, she will ask you to take her to the temple frequently. So I have a whole pub desk on that to present ideas to Hindu youth, not as rules. We have to do this, we have to do that, but as tools to help us live a happier, more successful life. Attending pujas at a temple purifies the mind through the exchange of prana, an aspect of puja and homa that is not often discussed. Puja, as we know, is a process of giving prana to the deity through offerings of fruit, cooked foods, water, incense, fragrant flowers, and milk. Then, during the culminating arati, the deity and his helpers or devas reflect back this prana into the aura of each devotee, purifying it of subconscious congestions. The devotee so blessed leaves feeling uplifted and relieved of mental burdens. So that's the details of the idea we had earlier of how going to the temple purifies our emotions and our aura. Has to do with the prana. So we give prana to the deity, and then during parts of the puja, particularly the final moments, the deity sends blessings back to us utilizing that prana. After an elaborate homa performed in our Hawaii temple by his three priests, Jayendra Puri Mahaswamiji of Kailas Ashram in Bangalore, India, explained that Agni, the messenger god of fire, conveys the offerings in a purified form to the deity, who then uses the prana to bless those present. The effect of such blessings can be life-altering, as Gurudeva observed. Dharshan coming from the great temples of our gods can change the patterns of karma dating back many past lives, clearing and clarifying conditions that were created hundreds of years ago and are but seeds now waiting to manifest in the future. Through the grace of the gods, those seeds can be removed if the manifestation in the future would not enhance the evolution of the soul. We have arranged group pilgrimages to India and Sri Lanka since 1969, and some pilgrims on various programs had life-changing visions of Lord Vinayaka, as well as other deities. Such visions, born of the intensity of pilgrimage and inner striving, would often come in the form of the stone or bronze murti moving and smiling at them, or turning into an animated human-like figure. Some devotees, with their eyes closed, inwardly saw the deity's face as real as any living being. Though occasionally a devotee may have a vision of the deity, the more common way we experience him is as uplifting, peaceful divine energy or Shakti that radiates out from the image. These blessings of the deity are called sanidhya, and refer to the radiance and blessed presence of Shakti in and around the temple. Some of Gurudeva's writings, such as what we just read, he also refers to these blessings as the darshan of the deity. Here's an analogy with experiencing the sun. If we go outside on a sunny day and close our eyes, we can feel the sun's rays on our skin without seeing the sun in the sky, and in that way experience the sun. This is similar to what happens in the temple. Our inner or spiritual eye, the third eye, is not open, so we don't see the deity. However, we can feel in our nervous system the spiritual energy that radiates out from the murti, and in that way experience the deity. Gurudeva shares an insightful description of this process in his book, Loving Ganesha. What is this Shakti, you may be wondering? It is being in the presence of divinity. All holy men and women emanate all of these Shaktis, and you can too, some stronger than others. Shakti is divine radiation from the third world, causal plane, through the second world, astral plane, into the first physical plane. The astral body is in the second world and lives inside the physical body. It is through the astral body that Shakti is felt. So it's not a physical manifestation, it's an astral manifestation. So that's worship. Then we have philosophy. And key concept in philosophy is that of the Purusharthas, or four goals of life. Artha, as we know, means wealth, but here it has another meaning of goal. So Purusha is the soul. So Purusha plus Artha. Purushartha means the goals of the soul. In case you didn't know what it meant. Hinduism's Purusharthas are four pursuits in which humans may legitimately engage. Also called Chaturvarga, fourfold good, they form a cornerstone of Hindu ethics and are Dharma, virtue, Artha, wealth, Kama or love, and liberation, moksha. If you ask anyone what they desire from life, except monks of course, their answer will certainly include that they want to fall in love, get married, have children, and live a happy family life. They want to learn a profession so that they can earn a good living and provide for their family a home and all the possessions that are needed. This, of course, is the essence of the idea of wealth and love, Artha and Kama. So it's common to everyone, including Hindus. Artha is material welfare and abundance, money, property, possessions. It includes the necessities of life, food, money, clothing, and shelter. It extends to the wealth required to maintain a comfortable home, raise a family, fulfill a career, and perform religious duties. Kama is earthly love, aesthetic, and cultural fulfillment, pleasures of the world. Joys of family and friends, intellectual satisfaction, happiness, security, physicality, creativity, usefulness, and inspiration. The next goal of life, virtue or dharma in Sanskrit, relates to how we pursue wealth and love. If we acquire our wealth honestly, and if we are loyal to our spouse, we are pursuing them in a virtuous or dharmic way. We may take for granted that this will be the case. However, it is not. This is one of my old news stories here. I have to update my stories sometime. 20 years old. Satsang computer services scandal a few years ago in India shows that businessmen can get off track and in their enthusiasm to make a profit may do so in dishonest and fraudulent ways. So he just got carried away. When he started in business, his intention was to be dharmic, but the excitement of it all, he lost the compass of dharma. Also, unfortunately, today, even in the Hindu community, some marriages end in divorce. oftentimes because one spouse is having an extramarital affair or affairs. Parents, of course, want their children to bring honor to the family name, to be leaders and pillars of their community, and to be of unblemished character. They know that without good character, that success is not possible. Whereas the pursuit of wealth and love is inherent in everyone and requires no study, most people need to study about Dharma to understand how to live a life that follows virtue and fulfills duty. The Purushartha of Dharma does this, not stopping at acting virtuously. It also includes giving dana, helping others. Contemporary Hindu society is placing a great deal of emphasis on accumulating wealth. Therefore, it is important for parents and teachers of Hinduism to emphasize the need to share some of that wealth with deserving charitable institutions. An example that Hindu youth can easily relate to. Mark Zuckerberg, co-founder of Facebook, a few years ago, he joined a group of billionaires, all of whom have pledged to give at least half their wealth to charity during or after their lifetime. As a start toward this, in 2012 and 13, he gave a total of almost $1.5 billion to charity. It's a lot. Let's turn now to the fourth of the Purusharthas, moksha, which of course refers to liberation from rebirth on earth. Liberation comes when Dharma has been well performed, all our karmas are resolved, and God has been fully realized. So that's Gurudeva's threefold definition of liberation. Dharma has been well performed, all our karmas are resolved, and God has been fully realized. So even if God has been fully realized, if we still haven't resolved all our karmas, we're still here. Thus it is clear that the three goals of Dharma, Artha, and Kama are not ends in themselves, but they do provide the environment and experiences which help the embodied soul mature over many lives and attain an ever-deepening God consciousness. God consciousness eventually culminates in moksha, in which the soul is liberated from the cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. I have found an interesting way to put an audience to sleep within 5 minutes. Can you guess how? Do you remember what that is? How can I put an audience to sleep within 5 minutes? It is to talk at length about moksha. Why is this? It is because moksha seems so far off, something to be concerned about in a future life, something that is for monks to think about. This is because everyone feels that the challenges they are facing in day-to-day living are our sufficient focus, and there is no need to also think about moksha. This, of course, is a good point. Therefore, the challenge to be overcome in talking about moksha is to make it relevant to our day-to-day life and take away the futuristic sense. Do you remember how I do that? How do I make moksha more relevant to day-to-day? Take away the futuristic sense. The way I do this is to refer to the journey to moksha instead of just moksha. We are all involved in a journey toward moksha. So this explains the journey. Ideally, in each lifetime, we move forward in our journey toward moksha. We don't stand still or go backwards. For sure, we don't want to go backwards. In giving talks on the idea of how we can grow and evolve into our divine potential, I frequently use the analogy of dance. Everybody knows what is needed to become a good dancer, and of course you've heard that one many times. Practice, and ideally it's daily practice, not just practice once a week. Many Orthodox Hindu families living in India still manage to reserve time for their spiritual being by performing a daily early morning puja in their home shrine, followed by repetition of a mantra while counting on japa beads. The predominant trend in India and other countries, however, is that fewer and fewer families follow such disciplines. Sitting with me, so many say the same thing. We just can't seem to find the time for puja, japa, or meditation. Time devoted to employment, transportation, eating, entertainment, physical exercise, spending time with family and friends takes up the whole day. The traditional 1-hour daily religious workout is proving to be too long, and because the benefits are not well understood, it is commonly skipped altogether. So, as you know, that's why we created our 10-minute spiritual workout. Hopefully, the brevity and flexibility of the time of day, along with a clear sense of the spiritual benefits, will motivate students to adopt this workout, or equally as good, customize a routine of their own. So we're not asking everyone to do what's in this workout precisely, but it gives an idea. 4 different activities that take about 10 minutes. I suggest this practice be taken up around age 15 and maintained throughout high school and university. After schooling, it is hoped that those serious about their spiritual life will increase their workout to half an hour a day. Spiritual workout consists of 4 activities: worship, introspection, affirmation, and study. So we're not going to take time to look at those. But that's our 10-minute spiritual workout. It's a good approach when you're just getting started, but it's not enough. Eventually you need to expand it to half an hour, and then after that, the next expansion is to a full hour. And after that, when you're retired, try for 2 hours. We know some of our retiree members who do 2 hours and even a lot more every day. Because they're retired, they have that freedom of daily time to do that. Meditation, last facet, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Patanjali is credited with being the first person to present the ancient tradition of yoga in a systematic way, which he did in his book, Yoga Sutras. So we don't look at it that Patanjali figured all of this out by himself. It's more that he documented the knowledge that existed at his time, put it together in a comprehensive way in the Yoga Sutras. So Ashtanga Yoga means the yoga of 8 limbs, as we know. So we have the tree with 8 limbs, designed for kids. Explain it. So we know the 8 limbs, and next slide is going to show them. So of course, yama, restraints, first one, niyamas, observances. So that's supposed to come before asana and pranayama, but modern yoga teachers don't necessarily present yama and niyama, but they should. Pratyahara, sense withdrawal, dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, oneness. This chart, a little small, points out that the gradational nature of yoga, by grouping the first 2 limbs as being of a moral nature, the next 3 of a physical nature, the next 2 of a mental nature, and the last being of a purely spiritual nature. So that's very useful. So you can see we need to get the moral part of our life working right. Otherwise, the mind is too disturbed to try and meditate. Then we can adjust the physical body, which also adjusts the mind. And at that point, the mind should be calm enough to do dharana and dhyana. Patanjali gave 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. However, the later Upanishads, such as the Varaha and Sandilya, the list had expanded to 10 of each, which is the list that Gurudeva chose to use. They're more narrow in their meaning, but the 5 contain all the ideas of the 10. And this is the point I made. One of the unfortunate aspects of how yoga is commonly taught today is that the first and second limbs of yama and niyama skipped altogether, and the yoga practitioner begins with the third limb of asana. This is not so crucial for those who are pursuing yoga solely for health benefits. However, other practitioners pursue it in hopes of reaping the spiritual benefits it offers. They are spiritual seekers, having higher consciousness as the goal of their yoga. Skipping the yamas and niyamas definitely impacts the amount of spiritual progress they can achieve and sustain. In this regard, the modern exponent of Hatha Yoga, B.K.S. Iyengar, cautioned, practice of asanas without the backing of yama and niyama is mere acrobatics. Isn't that a great statement? Practice of asanas without the backing of yama and niyama is mere acrobatics. Yama and niyama control the yogi's passions and emotions and keep him in harmony with his fellow man. Nicely said. Challenges faced in meditation. The challenge faced in meditation is to quiet the subconscious. Try again. The challenge faced in meditation is to quiet the sometimes incessant flow of thought about past, present, and future events. We can all vouch for that, right? The incessant flow of thought about past, present, and future events. These thoughts can be restrained by practicing pranayama, breath control, the fourth limb. Now, as we know, Gurudeva's basic 9 counts, 1 count, 9 count, 1 count breathing regulates the breath, which slows down the thinking process, because breath and thinking are tied together. How we breathe controls our thinking, how we think controls our breathing. So if our thinking gets more agitated, our breathing gets faster and more irregular, vice versa. When we manage to center our mind in the present and quiet the cacophony of miscellaneous thoughts, we experience a higher state of consciousness. Gurudeva refers to this as the eternal now. So I had a question on that from one of our attendees, eternal now. How do we explain it for a young person? Oh, eternal now means we're in the now. All we're thinking about is what we're doing. We're not thinking about something that happened in the past, and we're not thinking about something that might happen in the future. We're focused on what we're doing. And when we focus on what we're doing, it's a higher state of consciousness. As the sentence said, experience a higher state of consciousness, and that state of consciousness always exists. Doesn't go away just because we don't experience it. So it's eternal. So we're striving for being in the now and going deeply in, going a little bit within, not deeply within. We come into the eternal now. Gurudeva, the mind lives in the past and the mind tries to live in the future, but when you quiet your mind, you live in the present. You are living within your soul, or the higher state of your mind, which is undisturbed by the things of time. Very nice. And this was a graphic I was using at that time. Om. Second topic, character. Qualities, interesting word today. It's not a common word. Philomathy. Philomathy. 44th character, quality. So see who remembers. What does philomathy mean? It's the only word we could find. It puts into one word this idea. I had to search hard for it. Workbook gives this definition. Philomathy is a fancy word that describes a love of acquiring new knowledge. I cultivate it by being a constant student of life, exploring areas, including new vocabulary, that's kind of a joke, in which I have strong interests and developing new interests. So we're always exploring new areas in which I have strong interests and developing new interests. The opposite is stagnation. And Gurudeva's comments. The dedicated student who has applied himself seriously leaves college not with a know-it-all feeling, but with an awareness of the limits of the intellect and profound respect for the vast amount of knowledge that he has yet to discover or unfold. Well, that's the ideal. Learn to concentrate the mind so that you can study not from books, but from observation, which is the first awakening of the soul. Learn to study by practice. Learn to study by application. So these are all the ways you can learn. It doesn't have to be from a book. Take a moment to identify a few ways in which you could improve in philomathy. And then our third topic is Yogaswami's words of our master. Let's see what he has. This one's interesting. Shiva Dhyanam will come by itself from living in the company of great souls. What does that mean to you? Yogaswami's statement shows how powerful the influence of spiritual companions is. It can even help us meditate better, just by being with them. Our real Father is God. What does that mean to you? Simple answer. God Shiva is the creator of our soul. In other words, we have a father of our physical body and another father of our soul. So God Shiva is the creator of our soul, father of our soul. If you remove illusion, you will see that Shiva pervades everything. What does that mean to you? Oh, this reminded me of Gurudeva's statements in Dancing with Shiva, Sloka 45, about the world is relatively real. It's not unreal, it's relatively real. So let's see what Gurudeva says. The universe ends at Mahapralaya when time, form, and space dissolve in God Shiva, only to be created again in the next cosmic cycle. We call it relatively real to distinguish it from the unchanging reality. So, the world is always changing, but in spiritual realms, if you go deep enough, you hit that which is never changing. It's an unchanging reality. Gurudeva continues, the universe and indeed all of existence is Maya. No, Gurudeva doesn't say illusion, he says Shiva's mirific energy. While God Shiva is absolutely real, his emanated world is relatively real. Being relatively real does not mean the universe is illusory or non-existent, but that it is impermanent and subject to change. It is an error to say that the universe is mere illusion, for it is entirely real when experienced in ordinary consciousness, and its existence is required to lead us to God. So that is the idea. Go back to Gurudeva's definition of liberation. When we've lived all the dharmas, resolved all the karmas. So we need the world to provide us the experiences that we do that. So by taking the world seriously, and not just saying it's illusion, we learn from our experiences and we mature the soul. So the world is there for us to do that. That is the purpose of the world. Thank you very much.